Hey guys, welcome to our webinar on how to safely buy an RV. Got some good stuff in store for us today, and I want to just take a few minutes and as we prepare and everybody gets in here, go ahead and make sure that in the chat that you can see, go ahead and put in your name, not your name, but just where you're listening in from. We'd love to hear and make sure that everything's working on this end. We get the audio and everything going here. So my name's Tim Richardson, working here with the guys from RV Wholesalers, and joining us is David and Kelly. Welcome, guys.
How's it going?
Kelly Tussing, he's our sales manager and has been in the field for a long time. And man, how many years have you worked here?
A long time, about 15 years.
15 years,
yep.
Yeah. So kind of seen it all. And then David Durnell, it'll be fun to hear his story, how and why this topic actually is really meaningful for him. And David's one of the owners here, so we're glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us. Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got Jim coming in from Columbus, Ohio, another Jim, Stacy from Eaton Rapids, Michigan. We got Florida, Brad from Florida. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining in. And yeah, I won't take much more time, but David, go ahead and share with us maybe how you got started in this. And I don't want this to be, as we know, just a push for our dealership. We're here to help you come up with ways to be effective when you buy your RV, whether it's your first one, your next one, but regardless of where that is. But these guys have seen it all, and we're glad you guys are able to join us. But maybe tell us, Dave, how why this means so much to you, helping people buy RVs. So.
Well, we started out strictly service, as a matter of fact. My brother and I were trying to pay for college, and one of the things that we decided to do was repair RVs. Our parents had just purchased a campground, and we started fixing RVs for people. My brother's one of those guys that can fix anything, and I always tell people, and you've probably heard it before if you've seen our other webinars, I'm the guy that hands that guy the tools. So that's what we were doing, and we had interesting conversations with people. They kept saying that they were getting ripped off by the local dealer, and it really didn't make any sense to us. You know, how are they ripping you off? And people had a lot of different scenarios, and they started asking us to sell them RVs, and that really kind of flipped us out, because why do you want to buy an RV from a college kid? You know, we couldn't figure that out. So we started doing some research, and we found like where people owed more than they paid for their RV on their bank loan. That was a touch interesting and honestly quite terrifying. Then we went and checked into it. We started selling RVs. Wildwood was our first line, and I'll never forget this. We went to a trade show, and one of the classes was basically in so many words, how to get a customer to pay full gross. You know, it's like, what? You know, and the stuff in the class was just very, very dishonest. But it's stuff that, unfortunately, we see 22 years later is a very common practice. It's still happening. You know, dealerships like ours in particular have beat the prices down over the years, but the dealers are pushing back hard now, aren't they? I mean, they're going right back up to those huge grosses. And
well, just in the past 2 years, I've heard MSRP more times than I've probably heard it in the first 13 years I've been doing this, just because a lot of dealers are going back to starting at MSRP, and then you negotiate down from there, hopefully a couple of grand. And unfortunately, that's still tens of thousands too high.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, Tim, to answer your question even more, is it's not right that people buy an RV and get buried to the point where they can't get out of it, to the point where, you know, they can't trade in 3-4 years. The average person keeps their RV like 3.8 years. And we meet people every day that want to trade, you know, and their used units worth $8,000 and they owe 20. And it's like, man, that is not right. And we're seeing so many ways that dealers are taking advantage of people. And that's kind of what this is about, you know. And people say, well, Why do you do this? Number one, aren't you hurting yourself? No, we're not hurting ourselves because we don't do these practices. But number two, is this a commercial? No, it's not a commercial. There's going to be 400 and some thousand RVs sold this year in the United States. Just new. That's just new. That's not used. We can't sell 400,000. I wish we could, but we can't. So we feel like we kind of have an obligation to tell people that can't buy from us. Because again, we can't sell 400,000. We don't have the infrastructure, but we want to tell those people how to take care of themselves and keep themselves safe. But of course, we'd love to say an RV, but again, we can't sell 400,000 or 500,000.
Let's just dive right in. Hidden fees. Like, what are some things that you're seeing, or you probably have had customers call Kelly that said, "Hey, this happened to me on my last purchase. I want to make sure this doesn't happen." Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing that they need to really watch out for?
Well, a few things. I mean, a lot of it is people go and it doesn't ever happen until you've already walked through the camper and you're picking it up that day and you go to sign loan paperwork, and then there's all kinds of fees that get added in. So it's not, I mean, it's a PDI fee. Go ahead and we'll never buy from them again, honey. We'll never buy from them again. Well, one was too many times. So, I mean, and it's anything from, and I'm not going to say that dealers shouldn't and don't, and most will have like a title fee. It's $50 or less. A document fee, it's a couple $100. I mean, and then freight, and they're fine is just tell people up front so they know. But I mean, I've had people come in and say, well, these people's, it's tens of thousands of dollars cheaper than yours. Well, it's not possible because we don't make that.
We don't have that kind of markup.
So when I hear that, I know exactly what's going on. Hey, they're going to try to get the customer there, and then, well, you drove 3 states away. Are you going to leave? They're hoping that you don't. So I mean, that's
that's the whole thing. It's a gamble, Are you going to give up this deposit that you gave? So if I hit you with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in fees, you're going to give up $1,000 deposit you gave.
Right.
And most people don't. That's the crazy thing. Most people let it roll. They pay the extra fee.
Well, I mean, the kids picked out the bunks.
Right.
They went through the camper. They already got their sleeping bag on the top bunk. And does the dad want to say, "Oh, son, we're not taking that today"? Well, they just bite the bullet and move on. So, I mean, that's the tough part. And, I mean, that's one of the things I hear from some of our sales reps. So-and-so's said their unit's 10,000 cheaper than ours.
Right.
Well, any unit we have out here, we don't make $10,000 on. So I know it's not true. And then I just know what's going to happen because I just hear from customers. They're going to get there and they're going to tack stuff on. It's just an easy way, though. If you're there, you're less likely to leave, right? And it's not, we've always said we want to get every customer their third camper. That means we got to do everything right the first 2 times. They're not worried about that. It's, hey, let's hope we get it once and hit a grand slam. I mean, that's kind of the philosophy.
Yeah, it really is, unfortunately, in the industry, and it creates a lot of bad behaviors that the customers have to put up with. For example, if I don't care if you ever come back, I can hit you with hidden fees, right? I can change your price. The other thing is I don't have to give you any service. What do I care? If you're not coming back, you're not coming back. So it's kind of a nasty thing. Not one of the largest dealer body in the United States right now, a really large chain. I actually saw their name a few minutes ago. So if that gentleman truly is there from Camping World, then he can relay the message to the owners that everybody knows. But it's running anywhere now from $1,400 to $2,400 in fees when you arrive, and it's not a cool way of doing business. And we don't ever call people out by name. I just called them out by name just for that reason. It's not a good way to do business. Be fair, be honest, tell people what you're charging, and then charge them that. And it's something that I think the industry as a whole has to look at. The hidden fees they got to go away. It's not a fair way of doing business. It's creating a lot of distrust among the customer base. Just like this lack of service is creating total distrust among the customer base. We've got to work that out. We really do. we've got to work it out.
So Kelly, what would be a good question to ask if you're getting ready to purchase? You haven't picked up, but the paperwork's done. Or close to done? Like what do they need to call and say? Hey, can you send me a copy of this, or show me the fees, or how do you do it? What would they say?
Well, I mean, that's what I would say, but I mean, a lot of times they add them in at the last second. Maybe even get a copy of the bank contract. Maybe.
Yeah. I used to tell people to say this, and I still would hold to it. Say to that dealership, this is my out the door price. If I get there and it's $1 different, I want you to put in writing, I get my deposit back, and you understand I'm going to file BBB complaint or call the attorney general or whatever, right? But you're telling me, you're guaranteeing me in writing, this is my out the door price. And again, I want it in writing that if I get there and that price changes, I get my deposit back, and you understand the action I'm going to take against you. Most dealers at that point are going to either refuse to put it in writing, then that's not your out the door price. They aren't going to put in writing you can have your deposit back if they're up to something. And then, that's not a person to do business with, right? So walk away at that point, and that's the biggest thing I think that we miss as a buying public. We vote with our dollars. We do not have to be taken advantage of. We don't have to sit by. One thing you can do if they change the price on you is call your credit card company and challenge the charge.
That's what I was going to say. Just make sure. Because there's always just ways that, I hear that dealers do stuff that's just, they'll do whatever it takes to get them there. So even if you say, what's my out the door price, and they give you a price and it changes, just get up, just walk out. Don't feel like, well, I wasted that amount of time. Well, morally, that's not right. So get up.
And if you can't trust on the front end before they have your money, what is it going to be like after they have your money? That's the really, really tough part.
Yeah, especially get into warranty and service.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many ways to take advantage of people, unfortunately.
Well, let's talk about trade-ins.
That one came in here last week.
Yes.
Check that one out.
As a motorhome.
How much would you guys give me for that? That's me, actually.
Oh man, there's dealers that would offer you probably $100,000 for that, depending on what you're buying from them.
Right.
And let's jump right into it. But trade-ins, the biggest thing that we tell people is when a dealer makes you an offer, we deal with this every day, right? People want to trade in, and people say, well, you offered me 12 and this dealer offered me 24,000. They're twice what you offered me. I always say the same thing. Do yourself a favor, call that dealer and ask them, will you buy this from me for 24,000 even if I don't buy your new unit? The answer 100% of the time is no. That tells you they're not really giving you 24 for theirs. They've marked up their price on the new RV so much that they're saying they're giving you a bunch, but they're not. They've marked up their new RV so greatly. And people say to me then, well, will you buy mine right now for 12 if I don't buy a new one? Absolutely. Of course. The two are connected because of tax reasons. They shouldn't be connected for any other reason. Go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say too, a lot of dealers, we don't really care if we get your unit or not on trade. Most people think, well, you're just trying to steal my trade. Throw the trade into last minute. My price isn't going to change. Yeah. The new price on my camper isn't going to change, whether you trade one in or you don't. And that happens nowhere. So make sure the most important thing whenever you're buying a unit, trade or no trade, is the bottom line. Does it matter if I'm selling you the new camper for $100,000 or $5,000 or $8,000? It's the bottom line. That's all that matters. And most people get hung up on, what do they give me for my trade?
Right. Yeah, and again, take your calculator and look at both dealerships' prices. The bottom line price is the one that matters. They can be giving you $20,000 for your trade, and the other dealer is giving you 12. But if the dealer that's giving you 12 is cheaper than the one giving you 20, right, it's because it's a fictitious 20. But again, number one thing is negotiate your price on the new RV, then announce that you have a trade. Okay. Most important, I think Kelly mentioned that. That's most important. Work the deal on the trailer, then introduce your trade. Number two is, will you pay that? Will you pay me that for my trade if I don't buy your new unit? The answer should be yes. If the answer is no, there's a problem. And again, number 3, take your calculator, figure out both dealerships' final out the price, out the door price, and you should go with the lower one if you're apple for apple.
Right. No matter the trade offer. If someone's only giving you $1,000 for their trade and another dealer's giving you $12,000, well, if they're lower price out the door, what you're financing or what you're bringing a check from your bank, however you're paying for it, that's what matters.
Yeah, that's all that's important. And don't let them make it hard. It's a very simple thing. There's a book. It's called NADA Guide, and it'll tell you exactly what your unit's worth. Every dealer has one. Most banks have one. A lot of times you can stop by your local bank and ask them or give them a call first. They should have that book, and that number is important because it lets you know what you should expect for your RV. One final thing I love to say about trades: the best thing you can do is sell that trade yourself. Put the money in your pocket, right? Even if you trade it in here, we're going to make some money off of it. We're not going to make what normal dealers make, but we're going to make some money off of it. We would rather you put that money in your pocket, use it to pay for camping for the next 5 years, right? Use it to bring the amount of your loan down, right? Throw it in a gasoline account. Although today I just saw gas in the great state of Ohio is less than $2. So don't think I wasn't out in the street shirtless cheering for that because that was pretty awesome. And I do have one question. Next time, can we switch seats? Because I have a double chin over here and you don't.
Right. Maybe.
I think it's the angle. All right. So keep hitting us with your questions too, guys. And Peggy, we're going to get to your question, I think, here shortly. You say I bought a destination trailer and they told me I had to bring it in to have it serviced. I'm sorry for kind of giggling there a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that probably has to do with a lifetime warranty. And actually, I think we're going to, we're going to hit on it real shortly. Let's jump to financing, Kelly. Help them out with that.
So, and I guess this is kind of the financing side of it, kind of goes along with not just RVs, but anything you purchase, really. I mean, for that matter, because most banks are going to pay the dealer, whether it's you go into the Ford dealership, you go into the used car lot, you go into your local RV dealership, your financing, the bank pays that dealer. It's called a reserve. So they're getting paid when they do the loan. So, and most people, I mean, it's kind of an expected thing. You go into the car lot, you just do the financing there. So, I mean, but for some reason, I mean, just kind of, maybe I've just noticed it more. It seems like with RVs, it seems almost like, well, I want to use my bank or I want to use my
local bank or my credit union,
which is fine too. But again, ask them for the money. I mean, they're if the dealer uses your credit union, they're going to pay the dealer. So ask them for a piece of the money. So always and again, this is kind of a way save you some more money. I mean, they're going to give that money to the dealership. What I'm getting at is the banks pay the dealer when they send them your business. So when you do a loan, they're getting money. So ask for a piece of that money. I mean, we and some other dealerships offer basically a finance allowance. We basically, what we do is we offer the money to our customers that we get from the bank. And it didn't even start out that way. It was more of, we had customers coming here from several states away and the kids were picking out the bunks and all that stuff. And then they'd come in to close their paperwork and they'd bring us a letter from their credit union that said, hey, here, this is what my credit union gave me. Well, that doesn't work. And now they got to go back 3 states away without their camper. That's just not the way we do business. That's not the way we want it to happen. So we started explaining the finance, and this is why it's easier. Sign and drive, you're done. No, not going home without your camper. So that was the biggest thing. And then we still didn't get too many people taking us up on it. So we're like, we got to figure this out just because customer service, right? We want people to come back. We need to sell them their third camper. We need the experience to be good. We need repeat referral business. That's what we live on. So we decided to give them the money that the bank gave us. And for me personally, I mean, I've used it several times when I went in and bought a van. I mean, they're getting money. Yeah. It's the fact.
What are you doing with it? That's what I always ask. And again, after you negotiate your deal,
right?
Then you say, hey, if I do this loan through you, how much money are you giving me? It's funny because they always look at you like, how do you know we get money?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a secret.
And, I ask customers all the time, have you ever had a dealer tell you that they get money from the bank? Because they do. Every one of them does. Have you ever had a dealer offer that money to you? The answer to that's no. I've never had a customer say, yeah, I had a dealer offer me that money. No, they never have. And I bought more vehicles than I'd like to admit in my lifetime because of the business, and every time we buy a truck or anything, I always ask the same question. How much are you giving me of the bank money? And it's funny to watch them. They don't like that question at all.
Well, you'll see them scrambling.
Sure. Yeah. And first thing they try to do is deny it. And then you tell them who you are and that and so I tell people, they say, well, my brother-in-law works at the local bank. Okay, then ask your brother-in-law how much money he's giving you. The banks are prepared. It's in their business plan to give up money to a dealership or a broker when that person or group of people brings them a loan. Here's the other interesting thing. We had a customer that was using a national bank that we use, but had one in their local hometown. He went to them to get a loan. Our interest rate was quite a bit lower. Same bank. We were getting a lower interest rate than the customer of the bank that had all his accounts at their bank in his hometown. Ooh, figure that out.
Well, and again, that's, indirect lending. You need to use that in your negotiations. Allow that to be a bargaining chip, like David mentioned. Negotiate the price.
Yep.
And then if you need to trade, then we'll throw that in. And then once they say this is our price, perfect, I'll finance with you. How about this? Just throw me what the bank's throwing you. Even if you started all of it and you get it down to half the money, it's better than you were before. So
you weren't getting anything before.
Right. And then also, you want to use that as even if you have the cash to pay for it, still figure out what that amount is, do the math. 9 times out of 10, it's going to make sense.
Yeah. And someone asked earlier, I think it was Dennis, but I'm not sure. I can't find his question right now, but asked, why do we have to finance through your banks for 1 year? Actually, it was Daryl. I just found it. And Daryl, the answer to that is the banks give us the money, like we just mentioned, if you finance, but you have to keep the loan for 1 year. Okay. So what we tell people is if you truly have the cash, you've got the green in the hand, right? Then go ahead and take the loan for 1 year. But on your first payment, pay off everything but enough that you can make 11 more payments. Make sense? And then go ahead and make those 11 payments. The loan's paid off. They don't want their money back. If you pay it off, though, before the 12th payment is made, they want that money back. So then you've got to give the money back to them. All right, that's just a rule the banks have made up.
Well, and it's no different than like GM or anything like
Sure.
that. And everyone's timeline is different, but with typically the banks we use is going to be a 1 year.
Yeah, and if it's shorter, we would tell you. But I hope that answers your question, Daryl. And people say, well, why do I have to finance with you? You don't have to finance with us. We can just give you more money if you do. And again, people act like that's a negative. Why is it a negative that we're being honest and saying banks pay us, so we'll pay you? We're just trying to get you more money.
Well, and typically what I tell people is if you have the money in the bank account, you obviously financially pretty smart.
Yeah.
So run the figures. If it doesn't make sense and you're going to spend more money than you would in the first year in interest, then don't do it. But
just pay cash.
Your calculator probably broke because it'll never work.
Right. It's always the case. They're going to come out ahead. And the other thing is that if you talk to an accountant, I've always been able to take my RVs off my taxes as a second home, always. It's I guess, guys, what we're saying is, look, work these little angles, right? Negotiate the price before you bring up your trade. Then work your trade in. Hey, will you buy my trade for the amount of money you said? Then, do you offer financing? Yes, we do. Cool. What are you going to give me if I finance through you? See, and all these things are just leading to you being a lot more profitable when you step away from the deal. The other thing is, of course, talk to your accountant. See if you qualify for it to be a second home. If you rent, right, it won't. But if you own a home,
well, it's different every year. The tax laws are always different.
Change.
But don't look at this just as an RV. On the financing side, we purchased a van for my wife, and I got an extra $500. 500. That's going to pay for her fuel for at least 1 week, as much as she drives.
Well, and always talk to the dealers and find out what the interest is. Don't just go to your local bank because that's where you go. That you may be paying a 1 to 2% higher interest rate. Why pay more money to that bank? Is that bank going to make your payment if you can't make it one day?
Right.
Well, those are the same banks that foreclosed on everybody in 07, 08, and 09. So we don't owe the banks anything. We love them. They're necessary evil, but we don't owe them anything. Get the best interest you can get and go with that bank. Get the best deal you can get, include service, and go with that dealer. Don't, vote with your dollars. If your local bank is so great to you, take the interest in from the dealer you got and say, beat this so I can do my loan with you. By the way, how much money are you giving me? If the answer to either one of those is no, go to a different bank. That'll help wake them up.
Well, and a lot of times too, you want to look at, because I've had customers say, well, my credit union's at 3%. And on a true rec loan, I mean, that doesn't exist. Just so you guys know, with excellent credit, you're not getting 3%. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to be in the right now. And I mean, it obviously always changes dollar amounts, but on average, I mean, you're going to be, let's just say 6%.
Yeah, we're due for a drop right now.
Right.
With this Corona freak out that's going on where we should see a little bit of a drop.
But most of the time, if you look at the same term, I mean, you're talking about a 5-6 year note versus a 10, 12, 15 year note.
Right.
You pay the same loan off in the same time, you're going to pay less interest at the 6.5% anyway, because typically the interest is calculated off the principal daily. So if you're applying more towards the principal, you're going to pay it off a lot quicker and spend less money in interest.
I'm going to say one more thing that hopefully doesn't blow your mind. If you don't understand it, call and I'll explain it to you over the phone. But say you were going to get a 15-year loan, but you can afford a 10-year loan, right? So you think, oh, shoot, I'll just get the 10-year. I can afford that payment. Go ahead and get the 15-year loan, but make the 10-year loan payment. All right, so one more time. You've been offered a 15 and a 10-year loan. You can afford the 10-year loan payment. Go ahead and get the 15-year loan and make the same payment you would have made on the 10-year loan. You'll actually pay it off quicker than 10 years.
Because you have more money going towards the principal.
More money's going to principal. It's a beautiful thing. I do it on everything I buy because you pay a lot less interest to the bank. You pay it off quicker, and you just have more money in your pocket quicker. It's a really good way of doing it. Let's hit a couple questions before we go to extended warranties. Somebody asked, well, the bank won't do a loan if I live in it full time. Are there any banks that are going?
A couple will, but yeah, most won't, just because it's for recreational purposes typically. Now there are full-time units and things like that. So there are a couple banks that are entertaining it. It just depends on credit and things like that.
Yeah. David asked, what is normal for document fees? It varies based on state because different states charge different things. I can tell you in the state of Ohio, you should never pay over $300.
And I think any state's like $450. I think.
Yeah,
it's less than $500.
It's less than $500 anywhere. If someone's trying to hit you for more than $500, something's probably amiss, as the people would say. Rick asked, "What's the best quality used travel trailer?" There's a few I would mention, but usually really good in quality for a travel trailer. Rockwood is really good. We have very few problems with Rockwood. That's one I would check out. There's a couple others that are pretty strong. Puma seems pretty strong,
David, because you've been helping out in the service department.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen a
Yeah,
little bit of everything coming through there.
Yeah, I've been out in our service department for almost a year now, and making sure that it's running smoothly and stuff, and that's where I spend my days now, and some of my nights. But no, Rockwood is the one that we have the least problems with. The other thing,
it just kind of depends too. I mean, was it stored in a barn? Did they use a cover? How did they take care of it?
Yeah, how would they take care of it? And the other thing to look at if you're buying new or used is how long is it taking to get parts from that factory, and how long does it take to get answers from? A lot of dealers won't tell you that. We will. I mean, I'll be honest with you and tell you which ones are the easiest to work with, but that's something else to factor in.
And on a used, the first thing I would check is the roof.
Yeah.
If they haven't sealed the roof, because most people, they think, because most units come with a 12-year warranty on the roof, and they just think that that's it.
No,
I'm good. Well, you want to seal it at least twice a year. I mean, whether it's you, the dealer, your neighbor, whatever. If you don't, I mean, we've seen them. I mean, they come in and people think their unit's perfect.
Yeah.
And we tell them the roof's gone, and they're like, well, it's got a 12-year warranty.
Yeah, unfortunately, when the roof goes, it means all the structure's gone, and A lot of those trailers are totaled out, but very least you're going to be looking between $8,000 and $20,000 for a repair. And the other thing is, if you read the print on the manufacturer's warranty on that roof, if you don't seal it every 6 months, you have no warranty.
Right.
That's a little loophole that they use quite a bit, unfortunately.
Well, and if you're buying a used, just make sure you check up in the cabinets in the bedroom, because you're going to be able to tell, because that's where the roof is sealed, right on that seam, and that's typically where there's going to be a leak.
Yeah. James asked, do you deal with many Canadians? Yeah, actually, James, we've been selling to our friends up north for 2 decades. We've got a very streamlined process. We've got service centers across your incredible country too to take care of you. So that's something that we're very, very familiar with, and it's a very smooth process.
And I was born in British Columbia. So.
Oh, there you go. Now we got an extra connection. Let's see. How much money does the bank give a dealer? It varies from every bank. You could probably figure an average of 3%.
Yeah. So it's all based on the unit and the
Mhm.
bank. So I mean, it just depends. Like, and again, there are some banks that just don't. I mean, if it's a subprime where the credit's a little bit rougher, I mean, they may not pay anything. But and there's other banks that may pay a little more than 3%. But on average, it's about that.
Yeah, and again, you can ask. Probably the same dealer that hasn't offered it's probably not going to tell you. But you'll see. There's even one bank we use for customers that don't have great credit, and we actually pay them $75 to do the loan. We don't charge that to the customer, but we even see a couple that charge. That's very rare, but there are those people out there, and I mean they are doing loans for people other people won't do loans for, so it's kind of hard to bash them. But
well, and I mean, even like on the van that I purchased, did they make more than 500? Yeah, probably, and that's okay.
Oh, sure.
But I got 500 more than I was going to get,
right,
by knowing it. So I mean, I'm good with it too. And if they made 1,000 and I got 500 of it, that's fair.
Well, you got like you said, you got $500 more than you would have gotten.
Right.
You also paid tax on $500 less.
That's right.
And guys, that's something else to think about when you look at that final dollar price and you look at the all the ways we just told you to negotiate. All that takes money off of your tax bill. All that takes money off your interest too. So both those things are very, very, very helpful. Okay, before we run out of time, let us jump real quick to extended warranties. We want to talk about lifetime warranty first. You'll see that we do not offer it. There's a reason. And I'll say this part, and then I want Kelly to take over. But anytime there's a lifetime warranty for life, however they want to call it, right? That's
warranty forever.
That is for the dealer.
Well, and another thing, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It's a house on wheels. I mean, if they were really made to last forever, why wouldn't the manufacturer do it?
Yeah.
I mean, they would own the business. I mean, if Forest River said, hey, you get a lifetime warranty on your new RV, David, and are you buying anywhere else?
Well, why would you?
And they would own the business. So,
well, and let me explain what I mean by it's for the dealer. It's real simple. And now we're back to that original question where I bought a park trailer and I have to bring it back for service every year. If you have the lifetime warranty or the warranty forever or whatever, there's 3-4 of them now. How the dealership makes out is, number one, they charge you something for it. Okay, they work it into the price. You're paying for it. Don't think you're not. Number two, though, you are obligated every year to come back to them for service work at a certain fee. Okay, they call it maintenance. Some of them call it service, whatever you want to call it. But you've got to come back. We've seen as low as $250. We've seen as high as $1,200.
When you only have a certain window too that you can bring it in, or if it's done, it's done.
Yeah, if you miss it, warranty's done. Here's the thing, though. See, the dealers then know that they've got guaranteed every year X amount of money in their service coming in. Okay, it's for the dealers. It's to increase their service profits. It's not for you. If you don't believe me, ask this question. Why does that same dealership that offers a lifetime warranty offer extended warranties? It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, that was
none. And they all offer it.
I had a customer come in. It was probably a couple weeks ago. They said, "Hey, do you got this warranty forever. I said, no. And to be honest, we looked at it years ago because it sounded, we were like, what is going on? You start hearing about it, and we just knew it was, it was all for service and to get that going. And the customer said, and so we were kind of talking back and forth, and then all of a sudden they said, and then I got to the finance guy, and he tried to sell me an extended warranty. And I just started laughing. I felt bad, but if you're telling me I have a warranty forever, then you're telling me I need to purchase a 4-year warranty. Well, something's not adding up because the 4 years should overlap or go inside the forever one. Yeah, that didn't happen. But it goes back to what David was mentioning. Hey, I'm going to charge you, let's just say $500 twice a year. $1,000 a year. You got to bring it in. You have a certain window. And that's not, hey, we're going to go through the unit top to bottom, front to back. That's, hey, we're going to make sure the AC is still blowing at the proper temperature. We're going to make sure that the water heater is still getting up to proper temperature. Not, hey, a water pump went out. Well, that's still, you're going to pay for that. But we just checked out your water heater, the major appliances, things like that, and you're still in for $1,000. Well, go 4 years, there's $4,000. Then you got a warranty on top of it.
Right.
Well, something just doesn't add up. And that's what I tell people. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now, is it a good, I guess, sales pitch? I don't know. Service pitch? Yeah. But then again, if you're at a permanent campground and you can't bring it in, then what?
Right. What do you do? Well, kind of like with Peggy, she's saying that she bought a brand new trailer and they wouldn't service it.
Or you have to bring it in every year, but how long does that service take once you get it there? And now it's there for what we're seeing several weeks on these.
Well, the average in the state of Ohio last year was almost 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's pretty normal across the board. And again, completely unacceptable. And
if one of your windows for service that you got to take it in is June 15th to July 15th, that's prime camping season.
Right.
Are you going to just skip it?
Especially up north.
Right.
But anywhere, everybody wants to be camping around July 4th. That's just kind of common sense. And you look at what's happening right now in our country, and I don't want to spend much time on it because I don't believe in the freak out. But if you look at this coronavirus thing, it's a good reminder of why camping is a good choice to vacation, right? You're not in a tin can with recirculated air, hoping that you don't catch something. You're not in a hotel room hoping you don't get bed bugs. Camping's a really good choice. We did want to just touch on a couple things, though, a couple tips that we've gotten from the state of Ohio Health Department and our local health department in our county, and that is, for the time being, stop using shower houses, the public shower houses. Use your camper. A lot of people like to not take a shower in their camper, like to not go to the restroom in their camper. Go ahead and use your camper for a little while to avoid some extra germs. The other thing is when you go to the grocery and you get back to your camper, wipe everything down. The stuff that you've purchased, wipe it down with Clorox wipes in case there were any germs that you picked up on those products. So that's a really good thing to consider. Basically just kind of think it through. Wash your hands a lot. Keep everything clean. The other thing is this virus is living a while on countertops and surfaces. So the other thing they're saying is make sure you hit those countertop surfaces, your door handles. But man, you're in great shape if you're camping. You've narrowed it down so much. It's crazy. So again, just control what's coming into your camper, and you're in really, really good shape. And so that's a positive vote for the thing that you're doing is the right thing. Looking at some other questions real quick. Barbara asks, so if they're asking $26,000 for a travel trailer, how much should I pay for it? That's such a large question.
If MSRP is $26,000, then maybe that's what you're asking. If the MSRP is $26,000, should probably be, I don't know, it's probably a $15,000 coach. I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing to do, Barbara, I don't know what part of the country you're in, but if we carry the same thing, check our pricing. That'll help you. Then you'll know what you should pay. If we don't carry it, Google other wholesale dealers, and you should find someone that hopefully has that line, and that'll help you out with what price to pay. And again, though, guys, and I'm glad Barbara brought that up, you vote with your dollars. We've had people say, man, I'm so glad I found you because this dealer was charging me $43,000 for what you're charging $22,000. What? Yeah, but I got them down. Why would you buy from them? They were almost charging double for the same thing. Don't buy from that person. They don't deserve your business. I mean, if we didn't exist, you would have paid $43,000 for that thing, would have never gotten out of it. And that dealer is too dishonest. Walk away. They don't deserve anyone's business. And we really need to start thinking as a community, there's certain people we just need to go away now. They're too dishonest. It's just like extended warranties. They're an incredible product. You should have one. You really should, even if you fix things on your own. But what is the company that backs it? What are they rated? Number one, that's very important. Make sure they're an AA plus rated company. Number two, what type of
coverage?
There you go.
Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
Go ahead and hit that real quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, because a lot of people you say the word warranty and they turn away quick. And it's 9 times out of 10 it is they purchased one, they had an issue, it didn't pay the bills. And most of the time, people buy stated coverages because that's what dealers offer, because on the front surface, they're less money. Well, if it's less money or more money, if it doesn't pay the bills, it's not worth anything. So, hey, I'm going to offer you a stated coverage at $1,000 that doesn't pay the bills, or I can offer you one that does pay the bills and it's $1,500. Which one's more valuable to you?
Right.
The one that pays the bills. That's why you're purchasing it anyway. But a lot of times people, it's just like you go to Lowe's and you buy a new stove. Well, for $24, Dave, you can have this thing covered for 3 years. Well, for $24, it's not going to pay for anything anyway.
No.
Well, then you have an issue, and that particular motor, that one's not covered.
Right.
So stated coverages states what is covered. Exclusionary has a few exclusions of what isn't covered. So that's what you want to make sure you ask, because I agree, stated coverages, they're not worth the paper they're written on, but exclusionary coverage on a house on wheels is well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure, again, like what David said, they're backed by a good company. There's a couple of them that are endorsed by the RVDA. I mean, those are the things you want to look at, because if they pay the bills, they're worth it, because most of the things on campers are made to be replaced, not repaired anyway. So, I mean, your AC quits, it's going to cost you, I mean, depending on the part of the country, $1,000, $1,500, $800. Well, doesn't take many of those to take you.
No, it doesn't. And jump to another question real quick. James asked, what about the exchange rate? Does that make it harder to buy in the United States? Well, look at it this way. The trailer that you're buying in Canada was built in the United States and paid for with that exchange rate.
By the dealer.
No, it doesn't. That's an old wives' tale that the dealers up there use to try to get you to not buy. The other thing they say is your warranty will be void. That's not true. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Canadian dealers like American dealers that really, really overcharge, and they find crazy ways to try to get you to pay that.
Well, and it's not hard to get it across the border.
No,
I mean, we've done it for years.
We've been doing it forever.
You get all the paperwork you need. It's seamless.
Yeah, it is. And, the other, to give you a couple other tips, things we've heard through the years that are really funny. Dealers tell customers that our units are seconds, like they're Levi blue jeans. Well, there's a federal government that doesn't allow units to be seconds that are either driven or towed by vehicles. There's no such thing as a second in the RV
Seconds
industry.
are called used.
Right.
Pre-owned.
There's no such thing. So we can't go to the factory and say, hey, which ones did you build that are absolutely
scratch and dents?
Right. We'd like to buy those. That's not legally allowed by law. So that doesn't exist. Any other questions? We're going to flip through real quick. Keith asked us, what about Grand Design? I can give you a quick answer on Grand Design. Grand Design was purchased, might be as long as 2 years ago now, partially by a private equity firm, and then by by Winnebago. Anytime a company's purchased, we stay away from it. We suggest you stay away from it for several years. The reason is the company that purchased it needs to make that money back
quick.
So the first thing they do is they cheapen things. They also get real stingy on warranty. The other thing is when a private equity firm steps in, run as quick as you can run, because they're all about profits. And most businesses are, but you got to take care of customers, and private equity firms don't have to take care of customers. They owe big returns to people that have invested money. So great product. It's been bought out. Again, partly by a private equity firm, partly by Winnebago. Winnebago is a great company. Don't get me wrong. But again, we are seeing it, and we've seen their popularity just go off the cliff since they were purchased. And I believe that's part of the reason. Airstream, really nothing bad you can say about Airstream. You pay for it. You definitely pay for it. But I don't know anything bad about them. What about the Forest River, Kelly, the Evo?
I think that's I'm not too familiar with it. I think it's the little teardrop, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. And again, we haven't heard anything bad about it. Don't know much about it, but if you're interested in that, look at the Rockwood Geo Pro. Because I know how that's built. I know how that holds up, and they're
well, and you
they're
can
awesome
do.
units.
I think the Evo is kind of a solar panels and things like that. You can
Yeah.
do the same thing on the Geo Pro, and they're built Rockwood. I mean, it's
Yeah, if you say
top of the
Rock,
line.
I mean Rockwood's Rockwood.
Scott asked, when do payments start after the close of the deal? Just depends. I mean, typically it's 30 days. So 30 days after you sign loan paperwork. Now, some of our banks run specials to where we can do 90 days deferred payments or 45 days deferred or 60. So if that is something that you're interested in, always ask and we can see which banks are available. But typically from the day you sign your loan paperwork, it's 30 days is your first payment.
Yeah. Lance asked about Jayco. Jayco's in the same holding pattern with us that Grand Design is because they were bought out by Thor. And I can tell you one change we saw. We went and looked at them at a dealer show right after they were about 6 months to a year after they were purchased by Thor, and we couldn't get through the back door.
That's the one you got jammed in the back door? I remember that.
Required a couple butter pads to get me out the other side. But and it's a little. People are like, what do you mean the back door? Well, they took the back door from a full size door to this little teeny tiny back door, and literally. And I mean, I'm not a small guy. I like to say I'm big built and sexy, but I couldn't get out the. Thank you.
Big man.
But I could not get out the door. I mean, and we all had a fun moment with it, but why did we go to that little teeny tiny door?
Save a few bucks.
Well, we're trying to get that money back that Thor paid for Jayco.
Well, and the thing about Jayco is Grandpa owned a Jayco.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Dad owned a Jayco.
Yeah, and they've always been built great. So people think, man, Jayco. Problem is, Jayco's not Jayco anymore. Jayco's now Thor. Someone's asking, I'm buying a Striker toy hauler. Are they well made?
I think they're well built. They're now, so Torque by Heartland came out with that floor plan or that line first. And then Striker, which is Cruiser RV, which is owned by Heartland. They just built it so they could have double the units out there on dealers' lots. So
you're better off personally, I would tell you go with the Torque.
Well, typically you're better off as far as resale and things like that
Right.
to go out with
That's
the one
what I
that
was
was
gonna
first built.
Yes.
Just because there's going to be more out there and they hold their value a little bit better. But yeah, it's definitely going to be well built.
And hopefully that made sense because see if there's more Torques on the road, people know them better, then they hold their resale value better. So if you go to trade both units, even though they're built in the same factory, you're probably going to get a little more money out of the Torque than you are the other.
Guys, Dustin asked about PDI. Well, pre-delivery inspection. Some people probably don't know what that is, but what do we do about that? They asked.
So a PDI is a pre-delivery inspection. We do basically every unit that is sold, we bring here from the manufacturer. So they don't, even if it's a delivery, it doesn't go from the manufacturer to your house. It's going to come from Indiana to our dealership. Then our service techs go through the coach. They'll do about 100-point inspection, roughly, testing everything from gas valves to ACs, refrigerators, microwaves, water heaters, axles, plumbing. I mean, the whole bit, torque the lugs, tire pressure, make sure everything's ready. They're going to do that, and we do that before you actually come here to pick it up. So, and actually, one of the manufacturers, Dave can maybe attest, took our PDI.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not just, hey, we're going to wash you outside and wipe down the tables on the inside. I mean, we want to make sure that the gas pressure's holding. We want to make sure, I mean, things that we probably shouldn't even have to do or need to do. We
But
want
we
to
do
kind
it.
of go the extra mile just to make sure that you have a good experience on your first trip.
Yeah, we've always, alluding to what Kelly just said, we've always been famous for our PDI. There's two main manufacturers. One of them came down to study our PDI because our warranty claims were so low in the first year after, and actually adopted our PDI as their PDI. So it's something that we're pretty well known for.
Well, even small things like tighten the traps.
Yeah.
And why do we need to tighten the traps? Well, because
be
when
shocked
when
how
your
many-
camper vibrates and jars,
Right.
and you have water under your sink, it's not because it wasn't built well or tightened even at the manufacturer or tightened here. I mean, you need to check those things, and that's one of the small things that we do to just try to make life a little bit easier.
Elena asked about the KZ Durango. It's not a bad unit. You know, I wouldn't tell you run or anything like that. I don't think it's a bad unit. Are there better built units? Sure, but it's not a bad unit. You know, look at what we carry on our website. We go through it constantly. You'll see there's some that we drop that people are like, you dropped that one. You know, we just dropped it's always number one or number two most popular fifth wheel in the United States and Canada. We just dropped it last year because of service issues. You know, people are like, wow, I can't believe you dropped that. Well, we only carry what they're going to take care of. If a factory stops taking care of it, we're going to drop it until the factory starts to take care of it. Then we'll pick it back up. But if you want to know about, you know, good quality units, look at what we sell and go off of that. You know, and again, that doesn't mean there's not good units out there that we don't sell. But normally we've got the best units on our lot because our customer relationship is so important to us. You know, there's some we can make more money on, but if we know we can't take care of you, we don't want it. You know, we just don't, because it's not going to be a good relationship. So we're getting a lot of people asking that. Someone asked, what's a good Super C? I don't know if they're building them again yet. The Super Cs went away about a year and a half ago. And even with Cs right now, there's a huge shortage
On chassis.
Yeah, of chassis. So even those are really hard to get.
Jeffrey
very hard
asked
to
too, what would you recommend, Flagstaff or Rockwood? They're built exactly the same. So
Same factory.
now this is going to go back to the last one we talked about. So Rockwood outsells Flagstaff. I think the last time I checked, it was about 3 to 4 to 1.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a little bit better resale, Rockwood is, just because there's going to be more of them out there. But construction wise, I mean, the only difference is exterior graphics and interior colors. So
Yeah, they're identical other than that.
if you're going to keep it forever, it really doesn't matter. Just, I mean, they should be priced out equally as well. So make sure you do your research there. Or if you're one that likes to upgrade every 3.5 years, like everyone else in the country, then probably the Rockwood would be a better way to go.
Chuck asked if we carry Thor. We do have some Thor products. Not a lot, but we do have a few. Yeah. And again, a lot of them that we don't carry, you know, there's a reason, but there's some great Thor products, and we've got some great Thor products out there. Kathy asked, the best motorhome to live in full time, A, C, B. Which one are you thinking? James asked, gas or diesel. That's solely a personal preference. A lot of people that want to go out west don't always grab the diesel because they're worried about the availability of fuel at stations. But I don't really know of anyone that's really had that issue, you know, up front, very honestly. What else we got, Kelly? Let's do 2 more. James asked, he said it's good to know serviceability is most important. It is. You know, you need to check out how easy is it to get parts, and you need to ask the dealer how long their average customer waited last year, and ask them to put that in writing for you, very seriously, because it was terrible last year. The industry did a terrible job, and they should be ashamed of themselves. We changed things up quite a bit. We have a different way of doing it here. Call us. We'll go over it with you if you'd like.
And it's even though like our service network, because I mean 9 times out of 10 when your RV breaks down, it's not in your backyard.
Right.
So, and that's a huge benefit as well.
Let's make this the last one. James asked, "What are your thoughts on full-time living, at least for the long winter months, for a motorhome or a fifth wheel?" Potato, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing, though. A lot of dealers are going to tell you a lot of units are 4-season units that are not 4-season units. There's a Redwood is a 4-season unit. Landmark. And what's the other one?
DRV.
And DRV makes one. Now, even those, I would tell you, are not really 4-season units, but they're as close as you're going to get. But you're still going to have to do some kind of skirting and insulation around the bottom. You still better wrap, like the water coming into the coach and stuff, with some kind of heat tape.
Well,
There's no real 4-season units. The problem is there's dishonest dealers. You're going to look at a lot of the same units we've got out here, and you're going to say, is that a 4-season unit? We're going to say no. And the guy down the road said, yeah, it is.
well, a lot of dealers will say if it has an enclosed underbelly, it's.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a piece of corrugated plastic that's a 1/4 inch thick doesn't make something 4 seasons.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's funny that because a lot of times, and it's just so funny, a lot of people ask that. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you 0.
Right.
There's not one
too.
unit that's built that is
But
4
the
seasons.
closest you can get
That's
is
right.
a Redwood, a Landmark, or the
DRV.
DRV. And that's just one unit of DRVs, okay? Now, just to summarize, guys, when you go to purchase, remember you're in charge. The dealer's not in charge. You're in charge. It's your money. It's your signature. Make sure you negotiate the best price you can. Look around at other websites, see what other people are paying. RV Trader is one place to search some pricing. Then introduce your trade, okay? Ask that dealer once he gives you an offer, would you buy this trade from me if I don't buy your new unit? If the answer is no, there's an issue. Look at the fees you're paying. Ask them to put everything in writing. I want you to put in writing, this is my out-the-door price, and if it changes $1, you'll give me back my deposit and I can walk away. Okay? If they won't do that, you've got another problem.
Well, and it's
Walk
just
away.
like one more thing. So I had a customer bring me a purchase order from another dealer the other day, and it didn't have a documentation fee. It didn't have a title fee. It didn't have a freight charge on it. Well, I knew it wasn't the out-the-door price. Every dealer in America has a documentation fee.
Right.
Every dealer in America's got a title fee. So when I knew it didn't have those on there,
There's a problem.
we weren't quite there yet.
I think it was the same dealership that had like 18 fees listed, remember? And some of them were checked and some of them weren't. And it's like, hey, guys, why would they put them on there if they weren't going to charge you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Run. Run as fast as you can. Get away as quick as you can. And again, just get everything in writing, you know, and if you do those things, you should be pretty darn safe. I would also, we didn't have time today to talk much about service. Ask questions about service, though. How do I get serviced? How long is it going to take me to get serviced? What if I got transferred? What if I'm on a trip out west? How are you going to take care of me, or a trip out east, or whatever it might be?
Well, even if you think, well, I only camp 10 miles from the house, you don't know when you got to go visit your kid at college, or your parents get sick
Right.
and you got to go see them in a different state. Ask the questions. I mean, you don't know. I mean, yes, you may the majority of the time camp 5 minutes from their dealership, but there might be a chance when you got to go.
Yeah. All right, we'll cut it off there. We kept you for an hour, man. We sure do appreciate you guys hanging with us, and we appreciate the questions. Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.